Oh boy, let me tell you what, I was not expecting this headline at all, so check this out. This one comes from Forbes. It says right here, what if I told you Cyberpunk is better than GTA 5? So we're going to be diving into this article. It's pretty in-depth and draws comparisons between the two games in terms of gameplay, characters, story, and the actual city. So some really interesting stuff here. But I gotta ask you guys, sound off in the comments below, which one at this point in time do you think is the best, Cyberpunk or GTA 5? Now also, we're gonna be talking about the old gen versions of Cyberpunk as well. We're gonna be seeing how they're performing. Let me tell you what, it's not good news, so let's dive into this right now. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good, and we are talking about more Cyberpunk, but this time drawing comparisons to one of the biggest games ever, GTA 5. So let's get into this juicy article, shall we? All right, here we go. So it goes on to say this: time to ride a take so hot, my keyboard is melting as I type. GTA 5 is quite literally the most popular game of all time, selling 150 million copies and debuting to rave reviews when it arrived all the way back in the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation. I cannot believe that. Now it says the game is alive and well ever since, due in part to the success of GTA Online, which prints money for Rockstar and has allowed, the game to live across 3 console generations now, and they're already remastering it and releasing it again for PS5 and Xbox Series X, and people are furious about that one, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, let's draw comparisons to one of the biggest characters in Cyberpunk, and that is the actual city. So check this out. We have Night City versus Los Santos. Goes on to say this: Night City is a gorgeous, beautifully realized place. Probably one of the best looking futuristic cities I've seen in the video game space. Totally agree with that one. Los Santos and the wider San Andreas area may be larger, but I don't think they hold a candle to the design aesthetic of Night City, and it's simply not that interesting of a place. Now, Night City has not realized its full potential yet, and if it had a decade to expand like GTA did, I think you'd see this be even more pronounced. I know there's technically more to do in Los Santos, minigames, property to purchase, and yet Night City remains a place I want to actively spend time in, which I can't say is true for GTA's world. And I think Los Santos is pretty much outlived. People are wanting to move on because they want GTA 6 at this time. But yeah, you know, both cities do have some interesting personalities to them, but man, Cyberpunk is absolutely gorgeous. There just needs to be more to do in the city, and I think and I hope that CD Projekt Red recognizes that they have a great future here with this city. Can you imagine buying property, playing mini games, going to restaurants, you know, perhaps having real estate investments, and of course a garage full of cars? There's so much cool potential here in Night City. It's incredible, and I hope they tap into that in the next few years. Now also, let's go ahead and talk about the characters, V versus Franklin and Michael. Now, you got to include Trevor in there, in my opinion. But anyway, it says GTA 5's triple protagonist idea always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm willing to say that V, particularly female voice work V, is a better lead character than, at the very least, Franklin and Michael, 2/3 of GTA's leads. Now, Trevor is a unique case, and I think he's fantastic due to performance of Stephen Ogg, and yeah, I think Cyberpunk has done a great job fleshing out V as a protagonist, which you rarely see in first-person games. Yeah, there's always been controversy related to how GTA 5 had 3 separate protagonists and how you had to keep switching back and forth between their stories. I personally like when it's centered around one character. That's just my thing because it's easier to follow. But yeah, that's definitely a big controversial opinion there, that V is actually better than the trio from GTA 5 because they have such unique personalities. Despite the fact that you are switching between all the characters, I have to say that this is a tough one. Let me know what you guys actually think in the comments down below and give me your opinion. Which characters are better overall. Now, we got to talk about the supporting cast for both of these games. Of course, we have Cyberpunk supporting cast versus GTA 5 supporting cast. Pan Am, Judy Carey, River, Jackie, Takamura, I would list all of these as being a better supporting cast than anyone GTA 5 has to offer. I genuinely cannot even remember anyone from GTA 5 outside of the main leads, and that one guy with glasses who helps you plan missions. Cyberpunk established a great set of newly iconic characters outside its leads that are better than anything GTA offered, and you're able to develop real relationships with them as the player character. I also maintain that GTA's brand of comedy has not worked in a long time, and the Cyberpunk script is better overall despite missing storyline here and there and cut for time. So once again, yeah, one thing about GTA 5 is it's definitely more of a crass story. In my opinion, it's definitely more in your face, a lot more cussing and all that sort of thing, which, hey, if that's your sort of thing, go for it. Cyberpunk is a little bit more toned back with that, but it's a lot more serious. At least in my opinion, there's a lot more serious takes with Cyberpunk. It does have a little bit of humor here and there, but I wish they would have kept Jackie Wells in the story. That's my opinion. That's where the story got a big hit for me. Took a lot of hurt, at least in my opinion, that they got rid of Jackie so quickly. But yeah, to each their own. Let me know. Sound off. Is GTA 5 or Cyberpunk in terms of actual story, supporting cast better or not? Now, what about the actual gameplay? Let's talk about it. So this one may be controversial. Oh boy. It says, I will obviously give car combat to GTA 5 as it is terrible, non-existent in Cyberpunk outside of scripted segments, which is ridiculous. Then it says, but on the ground, in-person combat, I think that goes to Cyberpunk with its varied styles of play, guns blazing, stealth, melee, hacking, and it's better than GTA's run and gun style with snap to target aiming. Now, Cyberpunk missed the mark in some areas, but combat wasn't one of them. And you know what? I totally agree with this one. Each one is different. We have a predominantly third-person game in GTA 5, and then first-person with Cyberpunk. But yeah, combat is more varied in Cyberpunk, and there's a lot more options simply because it does have those RPG mechanics under the hood pretty much at all times, and it gives you a lot more options. Plus, it does flow pretty nicely, for the most part. Now, in my opinion, with GTA 5, it feels very dated in some ways, the actual movement system, and I do hope they update that significantly in the future. Now, the article ends by saying this. So where does Cyberpunk lose? A few areas for sure. Anything with vehicles, racing, combat, or otherwise, anything having to do with enemy AI, whether that's gang fights or police. And of course, Cyberpunk doesn't have a GTA Online mode at all to compare for a multiplayer option. Not yet anyway. So which one takes the crown? Which one is king? Is it going to be Cyberpunk or GTA 5? This is going to be an interesting discussion, and I'm sure it's going to ruffle a few feathers. Again, I was not expecting that headline at all today, but yeah, let's continue talking a little bit more about Cyberpunk, shall we? Specifically talking about what they're doing with the old gen versions. Right now, it seems like a lot of people are pretty much abandoning Cyberpunk on old gen. That is PS4 base console and then Xbox One base console. This is the headline right here. It says, Cyberpunk 2077 video shows that the game is still having major issues on older consoles even after 1.3 update. And I'm going to tell you what, guys, I do not think this sort of thing is going to change for the old gen tech. This game was not meant for that type of platform, in my opinion, and that's why Sony, when this game was relisted on the PSN store, was like, hey, we got to put a tag here if they're going to be purchasing the game and basically steer them clear of the PS4 base version of the game. So yeah, I think that in itself is telling that you won't be seeing the old gen versions of this game performing extremely well anytime soon, or ever for that matter. Now, also, you're probably wondering what happened to that Cyberpunk Quest director. Well, check it out. He has a new job. It says here, Cyberpunk and Witcher 3 Quest director joins Riot Games to work on League of Legends MMO. So that's where he went. And CD Projekt Red, they have lost some veteran talent. Now, that actually does happen even though projects do end up very, very good. So that's something that is normal, and CD Projekt Red is doing a new hiring process, and it's very interesting what they're actually doing with bringing people on board and training them. They're doing some new training, I guess, to make sure that everyone's on the same page, considering what happened with Cyberpunk. But I wanted to mention this. There is a really cool mod. There's a Grappling Hook mod that introduces new mobility options for those of you that are interested in this. I'll throw the links in the description below, but it basically turns your character into Spooderman. Some Spider-Man action that you can do around the city. It's not going to be on par to the Spider-Man games, though I have actually tried it myself, and it's a pretty decent mod for sure. Now, also, let's go into your top comments on my most recent Cyberpunk video. So let's do this. Remember, throw a comment down below. I always love reading your comments, so let's do this. All right, so we have the video right here. This is what I did recently. It says this is not good at all, plus fantastic news about the latest patch. So there was an independent studio that got a trademark strike from someone. It appears it could be from someone from CD Projekt Red, or it was an automated bot that took down some Cyberpunk themed artwork, and this independent studio said, hey, yo, this is our artwork, 100% created by us. We own the rights. We want our artwork back up. And that's basically where it stands right now. But anyway, we have some comments about this. Let's check it out. So SkyVD says this: when they said this game would be vertical, I thought some of the buildings would be explorable and maybe missions, life quests, trading, and lots of stuff to do in random buildings. But it seems only the design is vertical and not functional. Hey, all the buildings are just for show. They could make some buildings as a raid, company heist, or something. Dreams. Yeah, that would be cool. You know, that's what I was expecting, to be able to go in these buildings, go up, 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 either by elevator or staircase, and access different parts of that building, like a mega complex, like you saw in Judge Dredd, the more recent Judge Dredd. That would have been cool. Now, Chad Hunter says the following: hopefully Cyberpunk sets a new standard for gaming companies. Let's get back to the days when games were finished when you bought them. Absolutely agree with that one. Gray Fox says this one: any developer, I'm not stealing your ideas. My ideas are complete and not in beta. Yeah, I hear you. Now, Shoei says this: maybe I'm naive, but how can someone get excited by surface reflection graphics and yet ignore the defensive duck position of all NPCs and the rest of the flawed AI? I guess each to their own immersion. Yeah, you know, those reflections, man, they're extremely important. You got to have extremely reflective surfaces on the road, for sure. Nelson says, I don't think another year would give us the Cyberpunk we wanted. Yes, it would have been more polished graphically and performance-wise, but I think they would have canceled the last-gen versions and still cut features. At least this way we all got to play it already, and now CD Projekt Red is over a barrel and looking to redeem themselves. Hopefully that means listening to us players. Yeah, that's true. I think, you know, if they would have waited a year, it wouldn't have been so harsh. You know, what everyone's opinions, because there would have been less bugs. Yes, the core game still has some issues that need to be fixed. Features would have been missing, but at least it would have been playable. I'm telling you what, the state they released it in was totally unacceptable. Now, Aaron says the following: another year would have done wonders. They would have been working on a project rather than scrambling to fix stuff. A totally different dynamic. There it is. I totally agree with that. Yeah, you know, they would have already been working on DLCs. You know, people would have been able to actually enjoy the game instead of shelve it until it was actually fixed or try to get refunds. I personally think they should have delayed a year, and if they had to with the PS4 base versions and Xbox One base versions, completely delayed those by another year or even 6 months. Or, I hate to say it, cancel that version, because I just don't think that it's wise to release a game in such a state whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense at all. All right, now Zephyr says the following: catering to investors and trying to make the boss happy. Where have I seen this before? Cough, Rockstar, cough. Says, all I'm saying is a flying bike would have made much more sense in this game. Yeah, it would be really cool to see some flying vehicles in this one. Now, John says this: most of the missing features have been remedied by mods at this point, but do you know what no one is ever talking about? Dual wielding pistols. dual wielding 2 Jackie pistols in the game would be just awesome. Yeah, they probably are like, we need to save that for Cyberpunk 2 to have something new in there. You never know. But there it is, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk and, of course, open world gaming goodness. I have some other stuff lined up that is not Cyberpunk, so I'm curious to see how you guys react to those videos in the very near future. But thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.